operations and AI stage. We've got Russell moderating today and the panel. And today's topic is hiring as a competitive edge in the AI era. So I'm going to hand over, and if we could welcome them to the stage, even though they're already on the stage, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, we messed that one up. We're meant to stand off the stage and be introduced to the stage. Bad start already. So we're here to talk about hiring, and AI is already changing who you hire, how you hire, who's coming up behind them as well. So got some great minds to speak on this topic. Firstly, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Russell. I'm from ETISK. We are a retail and e-commerce recruitment agency. Personally, I've worked in recruitment for 20 years from the UK. I worked agency, but also in-house, leading teams for ASOS and House of Fraser. Worked for General Pants over here before starting ETISK. Let's pass over to Sam first. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Ross. I'm Sam. I'm head of marketing at Muscle Nation. I've been at Muscle Nation for just about 2 years now, so still relatively fresh. We're a 10-year-old brand, and before that, I did 6 or 7 years agency side, very much focused on media, and then since coming across to Muscle Nation, we've got a marketing team of about 15 people now. It tends to grow every couple of months, and we're in a really good, fun growth stage. But yeah, that's right.
Hi everyone, my name's Emma and I'm the People and Culture Director at Culture Kings. I've been with them for 3 years, and prior to that with AKA Brands, there's a stable of brands that they kind of do acquisitions with. I was with Petal and Pup, so been with the parent company for over 6 years. Culture Kings has been, quite a legacy brand, as we all know, but it's been on a real kind of wave of change, which has been very exciting. So yeah, excited to get into this chat.
Awesome. I'm Catherine from Waterdrop, and so it's a global hydration brand. My perspective is I get to grow the brand here in Australia and New Zealand, and I brought it over here in 2023. So it's a global business, but I'm growing the business here. So it's kind of this hybrid piece of almost like startup lens here, because it's all from the ground up, but then working with a very established, large global team and kind of integrating those processes as well. So all of a little bit different perspectives.
That's great. Thank you. So we'll go to the first question. The first question for you guys is, how are roles and skill sets evolving in an AI-driven environment? And let's go to Catherine for this one first.
Sure, thank you. Look, I think everyone, we've kind of had a few different conversations, but everyone's coming in at the moment. There's so much change and there's so much fear. And I think there's lots of kind of conjecture of people kind of going, like people flip-flopping both sides of kind of just saying, do you need that role? Should I be hiring? Surely that role could be replaced, or people having those conversations. And so I just recently hired someone in customer service and had to kind of talk to a number of people of saying, surely you shouldn't be hiring in customer service because can't that all be automated now? And I'm kind of having those conversations with people of saying, well, actually, that's very much what we want to be doing, and we want to have those roles that are real and engaging with people, and kind of actually leaning the other way into it's very much about the human connection and that people are really wanting that. So for me personally, I think it's like we're seeing it change, and it's kind of being part of that journey, and it's just finding the right ways to be able to leverage the team and give people the ability to do more. That's how I'm looking at it, of kind of just how can I get my team to be able to do a lot more and be who they are. But that's, yeah.
Yeah, like for us, it's a very similar thing where we've had staff come up to us and be like almost concerned about AI creeping in and taking their jobs. And we've also had the flip side of our customer service team, which I think we were talking before. That feels like one of the first areas of a business where people go, oh, well, we can obviously have AI step and do that. But I think the human touch and having like really skilled operators is still massively, massively important. And it's something I was having a meeting just before I came up to the coast today around how we can make sure all of our customer service feels really personalized and really like a human's on the other side of the keyboard, because otherwise, what's the brand that someone's buying from? Like, but nothing.
Yeah, we're really leaning into AI in Culture Kings. You know, a part of our brand DNA is certainly to be innovative or to learn fast. So for us, we're definitely weaving it into pretty much every department actively and doing a lot of learning and development about it. So it's a very inclusive environment right now where we're all feeling like we're on the edge of learning together. In terms of recruiting, I really feel like now I'm almost looking at it differently in terms of skill sets. I think once upon a time, you'd be like, oh, wow, they're the aficionado of this role. And I think now knowledge holders, the knowledge is in the AI. So I'm almost looking for curiosity and other soft skills where people are like open to flexibility, a little bit more like, hey, I'm not afraid of this and I can lean into it. I think it's also really interesting because it's so new, like seeing portfolios that are kind of being used with AI and them selling that in some way is also a pretty interesting new part that I'm seeing in the recruitment space. So, we're kind of really leaning in and really seeing it as a huge enabler and a really exciting industrial movement.
It's great. Thank you. So, how are you guys attracting top talent in an increasingly competitive market, but also thinking about that AI skill set as well, has it changed the way you hire?
Say that again. Sorry, Russ. Give that to me again. Sorry.
Was it the accent?
It's attracting top talent, right?
How are you attracting top talent?
Got
has the uprise of AI skills changed how you attract that talent?
Yeah, I think attracting top talent for us, I always really like to be quite competitive. So, we got to look at some of the base things there. Like, it's very expensive right now to be living. So I always look at ensuring that our salaries are looking quite good in the market. Benefits, how are we kind of capturing a younger market? And, a lot of them are like, give me the benefits. Like, what can you do for me? So it's kind of like, your work from home flexibility and, all of the added features of what we can do as a company. In terms of AI, I like we were sort of saying, we're leaning in. So, the way we're kind of engaging people is like, we're really on this journey. We're really tapped into it. So we're kind of inviting people to be a part of it. We've already started to talk about even galvanizing our knowledge. Let's start doing lunch and learns. Like, the guy from FP&A did this crazy dashboard. How did he make the magic happen? So in terms of attracting top talent, I think it's good to weave it into conversation because we're just seeing it as, a big part of the future.
Yeah, even on that point as well, recently, when we were going through the hiring process for a new developer and also someone to our ecom team, one of the questions that we had, which we hadn't had before, was around like, okay, what am I going to be allowed to spend on AI tools? Like, can I have a Claude Max plan? Can I have a Higgsfield plan with like unlimited usage? It was a really interesting point for us to going, okay, cool, like, it's not only, like, how much am I going to get paid? It's also like, what tools are you going to give me to allow me to do my job in a really like quick and those are the questions where immediately, okay, cool, this person's switched on, they're operating the way we want them to operate, and we're like, cool, like, give us a laundry list of things that you want to try and do. Like, we're able to keep track of, how much people are paying and what usage and making sure things are being used. But that was a really cool question and bit of an inflection point for us internally of going, okay, cool, like, we need to have a bit of a roadmap for when people come on board, what are the tools that they're going to have access to from day one? And like at the moment for us, that's like everyone, when they start, they get a Claude plan and they can jump in. They've got access to all of like our knowledge base of everything that we're doing as a business. But then we've got a creative strategist now who's managing a couple of different video editors, and he's constantly pushing for more tokens to do more things. And we're doing some really, really cool things with AI video and with generation. So I think like having a bit of a plan for what you're giving people access to when they come on board is really important as well.
I love that, Sam, and that's. I bet it's really good to hear, isn't it, in an interview when people are talking really positive about AI. What can I use? How can I use it? How much can I spend on tokens? I mean, tokens get burnt like anything, don't they? But some people are nervous, right? I myself am nervous. I'm thinking, just generally about AI. When is it taking my job? When's the world going to blow up because AI is just going to get us? But there's genuinely fear in businesses, and I think that's okay. It's okay for people to be fearful about it. But what are you doing to actually bring your team on that AI journey? And what are you doing with the people that are genuinely worried about it and what it means for their job and if it's going to exist next year?
I think I'll start with that. Just one of the pieces we're having is there's lots of conversations and transparency around it and just people using it as an enabler. So rather than kind of trying to say that things are just getting removed, but I think it is the transparency. And I think the piece probably, which I feel really acutely, is that we're a smaller team. And so for us, yes, there's this productivity piece or kind of headcount piece, but I also think it's like I'm still hiring entirely based on values, and I'm still hiring entirely based on that person of how they're going to work in the team and the skills that we're missing. And then the AI is the add-on piece for us still, in terms of just like you need people who will be flexible, but that we're all on a journey together. And I think for the smaller team, I'm certainly having conversations with people saying just like, please don't be afraid of not knowing, and that I don't know, and then we'll find other people who do know. And as long as we all keep asking questions, so having that. But I think it is a scary time, and certainly I'm sitting in a place of privilege knowing that I'm running the business and being able to kind of do that, and I can keep driving that. But I think it's having the conversations, right, and having the hard conversations, and who knows what it will look like in a year for the team, but it should hopefully be a fun journey. But what are you guys doing at Culture Kings?
Yeah, I think for us, if there's specific change management and we know that we're going to engage a team to really start using AI, we usually take them on the journey. So, we'll do a presentation to start with to let them know this is a tool. But then, it's like a consultation, really. It's kind of like, hey, share with us, what are your concerns? We get that, hey, is this replacing us? But as you can see in the roadmap, yeah, exactly what you're saying. It's more of an enabler, not so much a replacement. And, the menial jobs that are kind of taking you away from the stuff that you want to do, the strategy, the content creation off-site, all of that is like, well, how do we minimize the stuff that's kind of tripping us up in the day, every day kind of BAU, and how do we, use that, maximize the productivity there to kind of really move to the juice of where we want to go, is sort of a way that we're going about it. And also we're kind of getting some pretty great third-party providers to assist with the change management, which I think is also really helpful, where people are like really, the purveyors in the space, and they might be doing like a week-long, we're kind of working with the marketing team, and they'll really talk through the instrument. And the thing with AI is it's so prescriptive to how you want it to be built. So you're kind of like building it, like you sort of Build-A-Bearing the whole AI to suit your department, your goals, the company. So I think in that regard, it's kind of like you're a part of building this, which is so exciting. So that's sort of how we're kind of doing the change management piece with it.
Yeah, I think for us, I said to the guys when we started talking about this originally, a couple of weeks ago, I had one of our graphic designers come up and genuinely say basically what Russ just asked. Like, she was really worried. We were talking more and more as a team about, we really want to be using this cool new Figma plugin. We want to use this. We want to use this. Like, and she came and said to us, like, hey guys, like, you've just showed me all of this really cool stuff that Claude Design can do. Like, I'm worried that in 3 months' time, you're going to say to me, we actually don't need you anymore. And the big thing that we wanted to land with her and the rest of the team, what we've consistently said to them is we want people to want to use this to make them better and stronger operators. We don't want them to be afraid of AI. We don't want them to think of it as something that's a risk to them or their job. It's very much a tool that is going to make them much stronger. And that's the message that comes down from leadership, and is something that we're really pushing. And to your point as well, getting external people in now, what we were finding is we were having lots of people do these really cool projects where they would do like 90% of the task with AI. And then it felt like everyone was hitting this point of, I have built this really cool app, but it's at this point now where it's a little bit too tough and things are starting to break and things aren't working quite how we want them to work. And I think anyone who spent like a late night on Claude, like building an app's probably experienced it as well, where you've built something 90% of the way, and then what feels like should be the last little like mile takes ages and ages and ages. And we said, okay, well, we've got all these really great, strong ideas. What if we just bring someone else in to, take them over the finish line? So we've had someone who's in the office now 2 days a week with our team, working through different departments. So this week he's been with our product team working on a PLM that the guys are building internally, and just doing little bits of upskilling people, but then also taking that work back off them so they can focus on their core skills and their core competencies, and then giving them this project that is going to help them do better at their job and do more. So I think it's a little bit of a blend of getting people to really buy in internally on what it's going to help them to do, and then also looking externally for experts to come in and help as well.
I love those stories. Now, I'm going to go a little bit off script. And this is a question you didn't want me to ask because none of you selected it.
Not that we're actually scripted, though, just to confirm. None of this is scripted.
You know what I mean? We did select the questions, but nobody wanted this one. But I want to ask it after that. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Which positions are going to become obsolete in the next 2-3 years? And also, just a bonus question on that as well. What kind of positions do you think are going to rise that we're not seeing right now? And don't just say like AI specialist. I want something a bit more specific. Let's throw that to who am I going to? I'll give it to Sam. Sam's itching for it.
Great, because I'm just going to take the easier part of the question, say what roles I think are... I'll answer 50% of it and take that as a passing grade. Roles that I feel like are going to be more important, I was talking about it before, like we've just hired 2 new content creators in-house. Something that like physically we would not be able to do with AI. There's no way we can automate. We've got a couple of people going and running Strava segments and trying to take them outside of our office. Like, I can't get an AI to go and sprint up a street wearing our new apparel. Like, physically not possible. I think like that's one that we have really spent a lot of time and focus over the last 2 years or so, working out how we can show up better organically for our customers, both in their feed and then also when we're advertising and doing things in a really organic way that feels a bit fun. So like, content creators and people who are the face of the brand, that's never going to go away, and that's something that Muscle Nation as a brand's always placed a massive amount of importance on, is like having a face that people can relate to, that they've seen talk to them before. Like, I think that's never going to go away, and that's something that we're going to continue to invest in and put more money into. Outside of that, we have really spent a lot of time working on the partnership deals that we're doing, and bringing in new people to manage those and go out and find new people. We've tried some, and apologies if there's any tech partners in the room who do like talent finding, but like trying to find creators who align with a brand and like trying to automate that process is like been really, really tough to automate and do. And we've got some really skilled operators who are working across Australia and the US and in the UK, like trying to find these creators who align with brand and do really good content. So like those roles, the people roles, I think really, really hard to replace. I think the stuff that will get replaced inevitably is the people who are just doing process. I think like if your role is coming in and taking data from one spreadsheet and put it into another and doing that over and over, honestly, like those are roles that we're already starting to automate, but we don't see it as taking people out of the business. It's really like, how do we take that person and, you know, have them analyze the data more, or have them like work on the output rather than just the input. I think like the people who are delivering that input is that's where that's going to go, but that's a good thing. Like those are the laborious tasks that you don't want people spending hours and hours doing, which I think currently they are. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky. We're kind of built on bricks and mortar, and, you know, we kind of have a bit of a base, which is retailtainment and experience for our customers, surprise and delight. And it's great post a COVID world. We really see bricks and mortar is still here to stay. People want experience. We do a lot of events as well where, you know, you're creating community. And I think for us, you know, that human element, just, yeah, you're location dependent, you're amongst people, you're creating moments, you've got stores, you know, we've got all of those sort of pillars that are very much a part of our DNA that I feel like will forever be protected. But kind of with you, things that, look, if I be honest, every department is touching AI in our area. So I feel like any area, depending on your goals as a company, could kind of get quite touched by AI. And I suppose it sort of depends on the strategy of the business. But I have to admit, I'm not relying so much on that FP&A team, because I am making a lot of dashboards and a lot of, like, you know, the mathematical equations. So I'm kind of with you there on spreadsheets and analysis, you know, on data is probably something that we're really starting to see leaps and bounds. You know, even our monthly business reviews where we'd be creating decks, and, you know, we're all just seeing these lovely AI reports, and, you know, sort of almost, you know, our finance director said it pretty great. He said, you know, it's not an ask, it's almost an expectation that you're leveraging AI. So yeah, I feel like every department could get touched, but experience is not.
Yeah, but Emma, and I think on that, if we were all to, like in a year's time, I think if we were all to look at all the job descriptions that you've ever had for your company, or the job descriptions on Seek for marketing, this is like, if we would look at all of the different variations you had for marketing, there will be maybe like, it could be reduced to like 5 roles instead of 150 different variations of those. Like, media buyers aren't going to exist in the same way. They're doing something different. They're analyzing it, but they'll still exist. They're just doing a different function. But I think the roles will simplify. Like, we used to have, you had a marketer who was like just only doing the SEO piece or this piece. Like, everyone can just do a lot more now. Or you had junior like levels of designers, right? Like, all the junior designers, will that be a role? Like, I don't know that you would need a junior designer, right? You just need a really good designer, but they've got to get good. I know, but I think to be brave to kind of say that marketing roles, just, we will probably look back and laugh at like us having like hundreds of different titles, and then it will just be like marketing specialist. Like, that's it. And there's no longer like 100 different variations of that.
Which is what it used to be like.
But it used, yeah. Totally. Like, if you look through Seek for market, like, you know, it's like all these different things. And for ages, lots of people have also kind of critiqued our industry from a marketing perspective and said, my God, this job ad is a unicorn. And they were like the worst job ad out there, because they're like, how can you expect that one person to do all of those things? And so the danger that we've now got is that people are starting too fast to think that everybody can do all those things, and they're still not there, but we will get there. But the horrible place we're in right now is people trying to make assumptions that one person could just suddenly do 10 different roles, but over time they might be able to. Is that fair?
I get it.
But like, hopefully
So
we'll all have jobs.
AI is not coming to take our jobs then. Agreed?
It's just going to be part of our life.
So you talked about more junior roles, and I do think that's an area where you can just see there being a sticking point soon, where, you know, junior roles historically used to be admin-based, people learning on the job, picking up, you know, bits and pieces from their senior and growing into that role. So what do you think entry-level hiring looks like now, and how do you develop junior staff when AI is removing that work? Emma?
I think with juniors, like, they do have the advantage. They're early adopters. They're digitally native. So again, I kind of think in a lot of ways, we don't know what they're going to be learning in school. There'll probably be, you know, virtual reality kind of, you know, approaches to it. So I think that next gen will probably have an advantage growing up with it and coming into the workforce in some ways. We're not quite there yet. But I'm kind of with you in some ways, like maybe some of the admin tasks could get probably minimised. But at this point, we're not really looking at it right now as, we're replacing these roles at all. With entry-level people, we love the youth culture. It's a part of our brand. So I feel like we still see so much clout with a lot of the youth. Like, people with marketing, they're going to the clubs, they know what's going on in the festivals. Like, you can't fake that. You can't really put that into AI and get the perfect quotient from it. So I still think, you know, engaging the youth culture for us is a really big pillar for our customers and our staff. So we would never be looking at their admin. We'd still be, you know, I look at them and they can teach us so much in a lot of ways. They enter and, they've had a pretty different entry point into the workplace. And, they've got their fingers on the things that are cool. So I feel like for us, incubating that talent is still a big part of our strategy and probably will never die.
I do think it's interesting, though, in terms of through, like, things getting consolidated, there just likely will be less roles immediately available. And so I do think there's that kind of danger of just like, you've got people who are then being able to take on more, so there just are less roles opening up, which then ultimately means you don't need as many juniors as you used to. One of the things that waterdrop is doing globally is the founders just set up a program which will specifically onboard kind of like high potential young people, graduates, specifically to then actually kind of be trained for senior roles. And so actually kind of just bringing them on specifically not to be doing maybe what they might have been previously doing, which was you work your way up a department and you kind of go that way, but them actually like coming in at a level and then basically being mentored by someone who's already like a country leader, manager, managing director or head of a department, and that they'll work with them up front to actually be able to grow the future leaders of our countries as we expand globally. And so they've kind of just introduced that program, which I think is fantastic because those roles, that role didn't exist. Like, you wouldn't just immediately put an intern to like go and sit with the managing director and kind of like train them up to be then the future head of country up front. But I think, again, that's kind of the potential that you could do now. So I think companies are going to have to make an intentional choice of how they're embracing that talent, because not everyone's going to want to be a content creator. Sorry. Like, not everyone will, right?
Tell that to all of my junior staff who are like, yes, absolutely, put me behind the camera or in front of the camera. On the like junior people coming in, that's one of the things that I've said to Russ before, and we've had lots of chats internally. It's one of the things that like I like spend quite a bit of time thinking about, because in a past life at agency, I was responsible for like a lot of the interns coming through and a lot of like the coordinators and training them. And I remember like being in that position and not knowing stuff. And now when I'm like planning out our team growth and who we're hiring, we're going to try and be really intentional this year of bringing more junior people into the team, into roles where we give people a bit more room to fail and do things, because it's something that like I'm super passionate about, the team are really passionate about, like giving people room to grow and find people who are super passionate. And I think like that's where we're going to be looking to hire on, personality and on like that drive, and coming to an interview talking about the cool things that they've done outside of the degree or outside of the education of like, this is why I want to come work for a Muscle Nation and try and find people there. But yeah, it's something that we've been really conscious of not doing super well over the past years, and something we want to try and really improve and do more on. That program sounds awesome as well.
I think there's some really good answers there. I really liked, especially yours, Catherine, talking about it's interesting to see that different career paths now. So instead of working your way up, you're going to train your way up to that level. And maybe that's the way companies still get junior people into the business, develop them, and get them ready for those roles. So yeah, that's really good. So conscious of time, last question. If you could tell every founder or hiring manager or just person who hires in this room one thing about hiring they probably don't want to hear, what would it be? Sam, I'll put you on the spot. That's for being late today.
That they don't want to hear. You probably have to hire people who don't maybe like rub you up the right way in the interview. I think like having personalities within a business that are not exactly aligned to the way that you think or the way that you already behave is probably quite a good thing. I think that's something that I've seen in the past and have done in the past, where we've hired people who, we either hire them because they're big fans of the brand and they come in, they're super complimentary, and you bring them on board and say, oh, actually, we don't want lots and lots of yes people. Like, I want someone to come and challenge me, or to come and challenge the manager around like, hey, I feel like there's a better way that we could do this, or there's a different way that we could approach this problem. And so I think like looking for personalities that maybe aren't going to, be a perfect match with you, but are going to create some healthy friction is probably a really good thing to have in a workplace. So maybe that.
Yeah, I was going to probably say, we've all kind of got a little bit of that unconscious bias. So we usually have a bit of a 3 kind of prong interview process where people and culture will meet them first, and then, the hiring manager, maybe direct manager, and the director. And I think that's the magic, where you get the 3 kind of decision makers that have interviewed those people to kind of like get in and like give their reasons as to why. And I think it creates a good rub, because I think sometimes people might have a predestined idea, or I want it to fit in this way. And I think when you kind of group it together and you get a little bit more of a conversation, exactly what you're saying, hey, soft skills look great, that they're being agreeable, but it's kind of like our strategy is we've got to kind of push the needle. And I think it's really great when you have a lot more people in there interviewing the same people and really having a good chat about it. I would probably say is maybe sometimes hiring managers are like, just give it at me and I want to choose my team. But I do think it's good when you can discuss it amongst different people from different sectors.
I'll go on an AI answer on this one, in terms of I think too many people are trying to, as a leader, I'm really conscious that I don't just want to be like, couldn't you just do all of those things? Or like, I just don't want to have that answer of just being like, AI can do all that and it answers everything. And I think kind of as a leader, just like making sure that you're just not kind of trying to maybe be blindly thinking that suddenly that person can do 10 things until they've even got there before they can do that. So I think I've seen lots of people maybe getting too fast or getting too carried away of saying, I'm just not going to need that person, that role. I want them to be able to do all of this, and like we're there and we're at the precipice, but everyone's still getting there and everyone's still building it. So I think kind of my thing would just be like not jumping too fast until you know that it's going to work for your business. And actually leaning into just kind of saying, so if they do clear those 2 days from their week, what else can they be doing? Like, it's just an opportunity. It's a growth lever. It just means we can move faster with things, but like not trying to put that pressure on that it's immediately just saved hours and days and you can immediately make savings. I think that would be my thing with hiring. Or like, yeah. So just trying to remember that everyone's a person in this and they all need to be taken on that journey.
And on that note, I've just had the pop-up on my phone that the free drinks start in 5 minutes. So we don't want to go over our time, but we will see if there's any questions for any of the panel before we leave. Has anyone got a question? Favorite AI tool?
I spend the most time using like Claude Code, but we've been, like I said before, we've been playing around loads with Higgs for like video generation. Higgsfield, Higgs field. It's for like video generation, similar to, I don't know. We're using it to create a lot of top of funnel videos around like an animated, like talking to a persona, but in a way that doesn't require a person. We've been very conscious of not wanting to have like AI influencers in our videos. Like we're not keen on doing that, but where we can do it to talk to, creating content that is really hard for us to go film. Like if we're talking about a specific body thing that we're doing, we can punch in on a part of a body in like an animated way that's kind of fun. So that's what we're using a lot of and having a lot of fun with.
Yeah, I'd probably say Claude is probably where it's at for me. Projects, presentation decks, learning and development. It can do it all. But I have to say, ChatGPT still does really good linguistics. I feel like Claude is not quite as advanced in the language side, curating good scripts and emails and stuff. I still feel like ChatGPT's got the winning edge there.
Mine's a cheat, Nat, but the team globally built something that's epic, which has been killing me, which is they built a way for us to use all of our old photography, but like it's the old packaging. So like any of our products that you can't use the photos anymore because it's the old packaging, they've now built a tool that we can just replace it with the new packaging, and I can just like upload it and get it done, and I still have all the nice images that I want. So that was like gloriously handed over to me, and I was like, why, thank you. That is amazing. Keep building things, and great. Yeah.
Good question. Any others? Over there.
I've given you the hardest spot to come and give me a microphone. Lovely to meet you all. Look, I represent the retail sector with training. I'm curious, what training do you look for when you're hiring in new talent? Is it still degrees? Is it on the job? Is it Google?
Depends what role it is, of course. Of course, in our finance sector, or IT, you still kind of want to probably lean on a little bit of that tertiary education. But yeah, a lot of the time with marketing and merch, we have a lot of, talent incubating from, the sort of lower roles and they kind of progress up, which is pretty good. So in terms of training a lot more with our creative areas, it might be a bit more open to interpretation, which is kind of good. I love looking at on-the-job training as well. Like I'm an advocate for it. That's sort of how I cut my teeth in the world. And I love a diverse resume that shows someone's really been in the industry. So that can really go fast and far in our company as well. So yeah, it depends on what role it is, I suppose, is how we'd roll with that.
Any more questions?
How many minutes to margaritas?
2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi. My name is Wyland. I specialize in digital growth side of hiring myself. Just very curious, when it comes to hiring a role that you never have a person in that role before, like how do you make sure that you're setting guardrails and making sure that they are on track with KPIs and all that? Because it's a role that never been existed. How do you even hire for something like that and retain them within a business?
I was just going to be cheeky and be like, don't you just ask Claude and just work it out? But I mean, all of the roles that I've hired in Australia, for us, they've been brand new. But I think you just have to work with that person collaboratively, right? And I think you kind of need to have either what you're going to be doing. For me personally, when I've been hiring people where it's something that I don't understand necessarily, so like I didn't know anything around B2B distribution, all of those different pieces, and so I've just hired someone far more talented and skilled than myself to do that, and then they're setting it all up for me. So I put myself out there to just kind of say, I don't know this, and I'm going to have to get that person, and then they'll build those things. But I guess you're doing completely new roles, right?
Yeah. Well, like the big thing for us is when we're scoping out a role or trying to decide like what we're going for, it's what problem are we trying to solve, and then the person that we're looking to bring on board is like, okay, cool. Like one of the questions that we're going to ask you is, how do we solve for this problem, and work with them. It depends if it's a more senior role. If we're hiring someone more junior, I'm not expecting them to come in and change the business and change the way we're doing things. But if we're bringing someone on board and they're a more senior hire and we're hiring them to a role where we're expecting some transformation or change, it's working really closely with them on, okay, cool, like these are the deliverables that we're expecting from you. After you get past that point, let's work really closely on what the rest of that roadmap looks like. But yeah, that's sort of the big thing. Like in the interview process, we're talking to them about, cool, like this is current state, this is where we are, this is where we think we want to be. Where do you think we should get to, and how are you going to help us to get there? And then using that to build out the set of KPIs for the first 3 months, the first 6 months, and then beyond that, working really closely on, cool, what's the next transformation of this part of our business, and moving along that journey there.
I do think that's a really good point, just in terms of if there are no guardrails, just being honest up front. Like literally, if that person can't handle, if they're not going to be good to be able to handle that level of discomfort and uncertainty in the role, then that will be, I guess, you work that on the interview process, right? Because if there are no guardrails, there are no guardrails. And like if they don't exist, then as long as they know that up front before they accept the job, then it's their choice, right? It's just transparency. I think like that's just going to be like honest and upfront. It's when people get misled, right? If they think there's structure or they're going to have a full kind of training program that doesn't exist.
Okay, that's 0 minutes to margaritas, I think. But I mean, if there is there any more questions? Probably have time for one more. Yeah.
Do you measure token usage and associate it with a specific person and a role, and use that in performance management and performance reviews?
Not so much in performance management and performance reviews, but we do use it to go and have a question of, hey, look, we've got you on a Claude Max plan, for instance. You haven't used Claude in the last 30 days, or you've got very limited usage compared to your other peers or people who should be doing similar levels of work, and using that as a discussion point. Like, I was talking to one of our devs today, and he had very limited Claude code usage, but he's like, oh, well, I'm not using that at the moment because I'm finding I'm getting a lot more success with Codex. It's like, okay, great. That's a really easy thing. So I'm not using it around performance, but it's probably more as a nice little health check for me to go and check and say, okay, cool, like, are you not using the tool because you don't find it useful? Do you not have a reason to have access to a tool? Or is it, oh yeah, you're using the shit out of it and you need more?
So you assume, at the moment, you assume that usage means higher output.
If I see the output as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much.